sä silloin kun nyt? Mistään sua löydä, entä kaipaus sydämeni täyttää? Tyhjä paikka on vierel mun. Suotta meidän murhetta on kantaa suru. Riemuksi muuttua voi saavuthan siis luoksen jälleen, kun kevät meille tullut on. Paljon lisää.
Because we've got...
Check 1, 2, 3.
Ole. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. I think that we are ready to get started. And if online audience is hearing me, so greetings also for the online audience. So we are here live from Washington right now.
Goes to the USA, live from Washington D.C.
Some orientation first, please.
Activity. Major players like the United States and China have increased their investments in this field. We have observed the emergence of new bioeconomy strategies and updates, signifying the growing importance of the bioeconomy as a solution to global challenges. Aligned with the 2023 season's theme of creating a global hub for the bioeconomy, we will explore these developments. Is it now time to establish global frameworks for the bioeconomy? During the Forum 2023, we will unveil the results of the digital survey on the potential for a global hub for the bioeconomy. Once again, top bioeconomy stakeholders will share their insights into this rapidly expanding sector. As always, the program adheres to the four-pillar structure. In the first pillar, we have the bioeconomy, people, planet, policies. This pillar will provide an update on the state of global bioeconomies and the latest bioeconomy strategies. In the second pillar, we have corporate leaders and the financial world. We will delve into the value of the bioeconomy and its engagement with the financial sector. In the third pillar, we have a particular focus on bioproducts around us. We eagerly anticipate discussions on digital biotechnology and how AI is elevating biotech to new heights. Additionally, we will explore bioresource-based value chains and strategies for enhancing resilience. In the fourth and final pillar, we have looking to the future. This pillar will elaborate on global bioeconomy initiatives and how potential collaborations within the bioeconomy can be structured. Beyond discussions, we will also announce the annual declaration for bioeconomy year 2023. The forum will be held as a hybrid event. We warmly welcome you to join us either in person or through online participation. This forum is being organized in collaboration with the Finnish Embassy to the USA. For more information, please visit our website. We look forward to welcoming you in Washington. The World BioEconomy Forum goes to the USA live from Washington, D.C. Save the date, December 12th.
Okay, yeah, so welcome to Washington. Your Excellency, Ambassador Mr. Mikko Hautala, esteemed representatives of the governments of the United States, the EU, Finland, India, Brazil, Ireland, the ones who are going to talk today. Respected stakeholders of the circular bioeconomy, distinguished guests present both in person here in Washington and online. Dear attendants, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Jukka Kantola, I'm the founder of the World BioEconomy Forum. It's my great pleasure to welcome you all to Washington to this 6th World BioEconomy Forum. World BioEconomy Forum goes to the US live from Washington D.C. and as a team creating a global hub for the bioeconomy. Why we are here? Let me brief a bit. The bioeconomy is gaining more global importance, emerging as a crucial solution to various challenges faced by mankind and establishing itself as a significant component of the economy. It is driving the onset of the next industrial revolution, known also as a biorevolution. To address this to the USA, we express our gratitude to the Embassy for kindly hosting this all. The forum itself will showcase global bioeconomy trends and highlight initiatives not only from the US and Finland of the global bioeconomy. Today, there are already some 60 national biostrategies. The number is every island came up with their action plan. We will hear in this occasion also what's up in Ireland. Bioeconomy is also recognized more in the international fora. Last year, 2022, it was very first time that there was a bioeconomy panel in the climate COP. Never ever happened earlier. That was organized by UNIDO, and we were pleased to be on that occasion. This year, it was brought up to the G20 agenda by India, and I think that we are hearing from the bioeconomy is one of the key contributions to addressing various challenges facing the humanity. Its impact extends beyond concerns related to climate change and biodiversity. So bioeconomy is playing a role economically, You know, okay, this is not the exact number, but okay, there are estimates that okay, the value of the bioeconomy will increase up to level 30 trillion US dollar, which is corresponding then okay 1/3 to all economical activities. That's something. The bioeconomy varies across regions, and in the forum we acknowledge these differences comprehensively. We are addressing major visions just bioresource, biotechnology and bioecology, because we think that they all belong under the umbrella of the bioeconomy. As always, today's program is structured around the 4 pillars. You see that already from the video. So the bioeconomy people panel policies, where we are talking about the policies, the recent policies related to bioeconomy. Then we move on to the corporate leaders and the financial world, and this time we are focusing on the economical aspect of the bioeconomy. Then, okay, third pillar is about the bioproduct around us, because we always trying to make this bioeconomy more tangible, even the ordinary consumers. This year we are hearing about highlights of the biotech, and on the other hand, bioresource solutions. And then finally, we are talking about looking to the future, and here we are then concentrating mainly on the international cooperation. Besides this, we are revealing the survey regarding the global hub for the bioeconomy. We've been running this survey since February, and ladies and gentlemen, we are delighted that you join us today, and we are eagerly anticipating vibrant and engaging discussions today with you. So, with any further ado, we proceed with opening. It's my great pleasure to introduce our opening speaker and the host, His Excellency Ambassador Mikko Hautala. Mikko Hautala, born in 1972, is Finland ambassador to the United States since September 22. Prior roles include ambassador to Russia and the foreign policy advisor to President of Finland. So, Mikko Hautala, please, floor is yours.
Good morning and welcome to the Embassy of Finland, which is, by the way, the embassy of the happiest people on God's green earth for 6 years in a row. And I think it's quite an achievement if you consider the neighborhood we are living in. And I actually think bioeconomy plays a big role in achieving that result. It's great pleasure to see you all here, and obviously as an ambassador I do realize that basically all of you know more about bioeconomy than I do. So I do have a disadvantage. But I simply will leave you with 2 points. Point number 1 is the reason why I think Embassy of Finland is the most natural, the best venue for World BioEconomy Forum. The second argument I'm going to give you is that bioeconomy is and is going to be a key sector for Finnish and US, Finnish-American cooperation. It is already that, but it's also going to be, and it's also going to be one of our focus areas. Obviously, I come from a country which is the most forested country in Europe. I've seen different numbers, but the highest is 76% of the area is covered by a forest, which means that it's also a cornerstone of our economy. Has always been, and I think always will play a big role. Our mechanical industries, steel and all that, was based on the need to exploit and use that biomass that was growing in the forest. And all the subsequent layers of industrialization in Finland were actually built upon forests and biomass and bioeconomy. Secondly, we also see it today playing a major role in our economy. It has a very high rate of sustaining its importance. During my lifetime, when I was born was mentioned. During my lifetime, actually the growth of our forests has doubled. and we nowadays use roughly 60% of the annual growth. So I think we've been able to show that you can actually, via credible and sustainable management of those resources, you can actually grow your forests faster, which is good both for climate and biodiversity, because then you can also maintain part of your forest as a reservoir for biodiversity. Plus, you can also use that resource for economic gains and jobs. So I think Finland is a key example of how you can actually combine both environmental, climate, and jobs and economic agenda. So these don't have to be mutually exclusive. You can actually combine these two. And this is going to continue to be one of our key messages here in the US. We also think Finland is a great example because we have an extremely ambitious climate policy. We aim to be carbon-free, carbon neutral by 2035. And we also understand perfectly that you can only get there via credible use of bioeconomy, by reforming that sector, by really using all those resources. And obviously, in order to be able to do that, we need a very strong scientific basis, a research, innovation basis for our bioeconomy sector. So I think it's natural to say that there is no other embassy in this town, which is full of embassies, to host this event than Finland. So that's my ambassadorial hat on. Secondly, with the US, obviously, we actually do have a lot of dialogue with the administration here. We were really happy last year to see the US adopt its first bioeconomy strategy. And we had a lot of discussions with the White House, with different interlocutors, trying to kind of bring this topic to the center of our discussions and our relations. At the same time, we started to systematically develop our relations with states, different states. I think at least we have Maine here. Great. So we have 6 partner states, Maine, Michigan, Minnesota, Washington State, then Colorado, Texas, and of course, especially those who are in the north, many of them with rather heavy Finnish origin population. These are also forestry and bioeconomy heavy. And obviously we are really happy to really focus on that cooperation, focus on bioeconomy in our economic and other relations with these states. And we have been now seeing delegations coming back and forth. So I think we are cross-fertilizing our knowledge and our experience, and I think it's going to be beneficial for both Finnish and American jobs, plus also climate agendas. So 2 reasons to be here. Finland, #1 in bioeconomy. Secondly, this is a growing sector for Finnish-US cooperation, and we are going to do that in the years to come even more. Thanks a lot and welcome once again.
Okay, thank you, Your Excellency, that we will remember these 2 points. We will then provide some more with the next speaker. Greetings from US. And we'd like to carry on and introduce Mr. Gregory Jaffe. Gregory Jaffe is a senior advisor for regulatory affairs at the USDA, focusing on diverse issues like bioeconomy, biotechnology, and food safety. Previously, he managed the biotechnology project at the Center for Science in the Public Interest and Health roles at the U.S. Department of Justice. So, Gregory, please, the floor is yours.
Good morning, everybody, and thank you for the invitation here to speak today. The Secretary Vilsack was sorry he couldn't come today. He spent the last few days in Dubai at COP, working on elevating the role of food and agriculture and climate. So I'm here instead. But I'd like to talk a little bit about the importance of bioeconomy to USDA. And so I will start by saying that USDA supports the development of a strong US bioeconomy and also supports other countries who do the same thing. A strong bioeconomy can create revenue streams for agricultural producers and ensure that wealth and other economic benefits, such as jobs, stay in rural communities and improve them. The bioeconomy can build resilience. It can transform food systems, and it can help with supply chain issues. We can harness the carbon cycle and use organic matter in so many ways. We can grow commodities to create feedstocks. We can utilize waste materials, corn stover, low-value forest material, food waste. We also can address environmental challenges by making agriculture more sustainable and address climate change. We can and need to increase agricultural productivity, creating more with less by increasing yields, producing more on the same land, and producing the same with less environmental impact. We have done this in the U.S. We have produced billions of gallons of biofuels over the last 10 years without significantly increasing the land we use for agriculture. It has been achieved with increases in yield, double cropping, and using marginal lands. On September 12, 2022, President Biden issued an executive order on advancing biotechnology and biomanufacturing for a sustainable, safe, and secure American economy. That executive order established a whole-of-government approach for advancing biotechnology and biomanufacturing towards innovative solutions in climate, health, energy, food security, agriculture, supply chain resilience, and national and economic security. The executive order discusses issues such as bolstering federal investment in research and development, improving the biomass supply chain, and expanding biomanufacturing capacity, investing in workforce development, and improving the regulatory and policy environment, among other things. It is now more than 1 year since the executive order was issued, and we already have so much to showcase under that order. The U.S. government has issued a bold goals report on research and development priorities. For the food and agricultural part of that report, we included 3 themes. The first, improving sustainability while increasing productivity, which discusses reducing food waste and reducing nitrogen and methane emissions, among other things. 2, increasing food nutrition, quality, and consumer choice, which mentions developing new food and feed sources, such as alternate proteins and cell-cultured meats. And 3, protecting plants and animals from environmental stresses. There have been reports on workforce development and will be future reports on biomass supply chain resilience, among others. USDA is working to implement the executive order, but I must say we also have invested in the bioeconomy for years, making this a priority area many years before the executive order was issued. We welcome the executive order because it reinforced most of the investments we have made in biotechnology and bioeconomy. So in the last couple of minutes, I would like to give you some examples of the work carried out just in the past year to support the bioeconomy here in the United States. On the research and development side, we have invested hundreds of millions of dollars. Some projects include research to increase photosynthesis, use of gene editing to make plants more productive and resilient, developing methods to turn vegetable oils into bio-based personal care products, and developing crops such as camelina and pennycress for biofuels to be grown as cover crops or on marginal lands. A couple of specific research investments that we believe will result in bioeconomy products include, and I'm just giving a couple of examples. When I asked an update, there were about 70 that I could have chosen among. Manure Shed is a research program that examines the entire spectrum of manure production, distribution, and use. It is exploring innovative systems that turn bioproducts into beneficial resources for producers, including biochar and biogas. A second one, Guayuli. This is a desert shrub that can be used for natural rubber production. We are using biotech tools to genetically improve the growing of this species in the Southwest with low water requirements, and then partnering with industry to produce rubber made from it, and then hopefully they will use that rubber in producing consumer products that consumers will purchase. So looking at this from a whole supply chain point of view. We also invest in biomanufacturing and product development with numerous private partnerships. In 2023, we invested well over $100 million on innovation, biomanufacturing capacity, and new market development for using wood, including low value and hazardous fuel in a sustainable way. For example, the U.S. Forest Service partnered with the U.S. Endowment for Forestry and Communities on the Restoration Fuels Project. That is a biomass processing facility in John Day, Oregon, that converts low-value biomass from hazardous fuel treatments, industrial residues, and other low-value wood into torrefied fuel and biochar. Torrefied fuels can replace coal in producing biomass power. USDA invests in biogas and biomass, as well as new types of fertilizers made from biological waste. Some examples of infrastructure developments include a first-of-its-kind commercial biorefinery facility that is an anaerobic digester that processes dairy manure and food waste into renewable natural gas. A second example is one that produces fertilizer. In this case, we are investing in the installation of a facility that will use methane-arrested anaerobic digestion to convert food waste into liquid potassium fertilizer. Finally, our investments go all the way from the research through the infrastructure to building a market for those products. So USDA also tries to promote the purchase of bio-based products. There's a federal procurement program for bio-based products that USDA runs, and a federal government-operated voluntary bio-based product labeling system, so companies can market their bio-based products to consumers who want to buy them. USDA even established a National Bioproducts Day, which is March 8th. It's an opportunity for us to raise the awareness of the benefits of bio-based products. I'll end by saying the United States wants a circular agriculture and food economy with many income streams and opportunities for farmers, and a production system that is sustainable. Strengthening the bioeconomy will continue to be a priority moving forward in 2024 and beyond. We hope that others throughout the world also will see the benefits of a vibrant bioeconomy and join us in moving this area forward. Thank you.
Thanks, Secretary. And then we carry on. I really liked your expression you said about this, that okay, doing more with less. I think there's a similarities also to the Finnish strategy. It is mentioned also there. Yeah, but let's move on. I'm pleased to introduce you with Amanda Beale to deliver her greetings. Amanda Beale has been Maine's DASF Commissioner since 2019, overseeing agriculture, forestry and conservation. Formerly President and CEO of Maine Farmland Trust, she co-chairs the Natural and Working Lands Working Group for the Maine Climate Council. So please.
Good morning, everyone. It is a great honor to be here with you all today at the World BioEconomy Forum. It's also really nice to be back at the Finnish Embassy and to see some colleagues and friends that I and my staff have really enjoyed getting to know and working together with over the past nearly 5 years. That's as long as I've been with the Maine Department of Agriculture, Conservation and Forestry. I always greatly appreciate the hospitality and warm welcome here in this beautiful space in Washington, D.C. I want to say a few words up front here about what inspires me and others in my state about the bioeconomy framework. And for those of you who know me, know that I could talk about agriculture all day long, but I'm going to actually stay focused on forestry today, just because I only have so much time. But Maine is a state that both historically and today benefits in numerous ways from our natural resource base. And although other industries are important to our state, I believe that our natural resources provide the true backbone of our economy. We understand that, and we know that managing our resources well is imperative. We're also deeply committed, sorry about that, to addressing the urgency and the array of challenges that climate change brings to our lives each day. In fact, in her first year in office, Maine's Governor Mills established our state's first climate council, which produced a 4-year climate action plan with tangible goals to significantly reduce Maine's greenhouse gas emissions while fostering economic opportunity and prosperity and advancing equity through our climate response. I have been proud to serve on the council and as co-chair of the Natural and Working Lands Group, as essentially I see that climate change impacts virtually every aspect of the work that we do as an agency. I also see climate change impacts as a key driver of our need to embrace and accelerate a bioeconomy mindset. And in Maine, as we strive to live up to our state motto, Durgo, which translates to I lead, we also continue to recognize the importance of ongoing and inclusive discussions surrounding the global bioeconomy and how different regions can conceptualize complementary yet relevant strategies within their own geographies. In Maine, we see our 18 million plus acres of forests as both an important carbon sink and a vast resource that supports a vibrant forest economy, directly employing nearly 19,000 people and contributing over $5.2 billion annually to Maine's economy. Overall, growth in Maine's forests exceeds our annual harvest and has for quite some time, and roughly half of Maine's forests are certified by third-party certifiers. Yet, Maine's forest economy has encountered numerous challenges over the past several years, including global decline in pulp prices, a devastating explosion at a pulp and paper mill that handled an estimated 18% of our state's annual harvest, and of course, the disruptions in supply and markets exacerbated by the global pandemic. But despite these challenges, significant progress has been made through public-private partnerships with the forestry industry, including efforts that have helped pave the way for substantial capital investments in diversification, new legislation, such as for renewable chemical production and biofuels, and support for new forest product businesses. One such collaborative partnership called For Maine is currently in the process of implementing a forest opportunity roadmap, and they're actively engaging with a wide variety of stakeholders spanning education, industry, communities, nonprofits, and state government. Further diversification is a key goal for Maine's forest economy. Challenges faced by the industry, including the market disruptions triggered by COVID-19, require that we adapt and become more resilient. And the bioeconomy framework is a very, very important piece of this. By diversifying our markets, products, operational scales, natural resource reliance, and technological focus, we can better position the sector in a way that encourages a more sustainable and prosperous future. We see an opportunity to highlight innovative wood-based projects already happening in Maine, and we're very, I must say, very inspired coming back from a trip to Finland. A group of delegates were able to visit earlier this year, and we saw this being demonstrated in a way that just gave us great inspiration, as I said, and lots of ideas about how we can be doing more in this arena. And Maine's Climate Action Plan, Maine Won't Wait, which received national recognition in 2022 with the Reliance of Sustainability Award from the American Planning Association, has elevated the goal of developing and enhancing innovation, support, incentives, building codes, and marketing programs to increase the use of efficient and climate-friendly Maine forest products, including mass timber and wood fiber insulation. And there's also an opportunity to more broadly share the story of Maine's forestry sector as a resilient heritage industry that strikes a conscientious balance between sustainable stewardship and forward-looking innovation. Maine's forests are remarkably diverse, and forest health remains a key priority. We believe that the integrity of our forest products industries is rooted in good management practices that improve quality and protects forests for the future. So learning from these challenges and fortifying the work of the Forest Opportunity Roadmap has set the stage for some exciting next steps for our forest sector. In October 2023, a Maine public-private consortium secured a first-of-its-kind tech hub designation from the Biden-Harris administration. This designation recognized the global market potential of forest bioproducts produced through advanced manufacturing to strengthen U.S. competitiveness, create jobs, and protect the climate. Led by our Maine Technology Institute, the consortium was just one of 31 tech hubs out of nearly 200 applications to receive an inaugural designation under the Regional Technology and Innovation Hubs program. This designation will allow the consortium to apply for the next phase of the Tech Hubs program that will invest between $50 to $75 million in each of the 5 to 10 designated hubs. Another important factor in advancing our understanding of the benefits of embracing a bioeconomy framework within our forestry and other sectors is in great thanks to our growing relationship with Finland. Our collaborative endeavors over the past several years have greatly inspired our thinking in Maine, as I've noted previously. And I am truly grateful for this partnership and for bringing us into the global bioeconomy conversation. In my time as Commissioner for Maine's Department of Agriculture, Conservation, and Forestry, it is my hope that we are engaged in this work in a way that is lasting for our state, and I believe it will be. So nearing 5 years later, we can look back on our partnership and note that Maine has enjoyed access to a large and diverse international working group comprised of over 100 forest sector experts, including representatives from industry, government, nonprofit organizations, research institutions, higher education, and environmental conservation groups. This network alone has been extremely valuable. Having the ability to reach out to our colleagues in Finland and in other U.S. states vastly expands our knowledge base and our ability to examine challenges within the bioeconomy through different perspectives. It also allows us to share our expertise and experience with other forest economies. Our experience in Finland, as I mentioned our trip previously, increased our understanding of the universe of possibility surrounding the forest bioeconomy, both globally and within the more local and regional context of Maine and the northeastern U.S. And for that, and for the opportunity to be here sharing our story and learning from others all day today, we are exceptionally grateful. So thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Bell, and thank you for your insight. I really like this expression, okay, bioeconomy mindset. Let's bear that in mind during today. We carry on. Let me introduce now Mr. Timo Jaatinen, who is a permanent secretary to deliver his greetings. Timo Jaatinen is a permanent secretary to the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Employment since November 2023. He has a diverse background, including leadership positions in organizations like the Finnish Forest Industry Federation. So, Mr. Jaatinen, floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Jukka. Mr. Ambassador, dear participants of the 6th World BioEconomy Forum, ladies and gentlemen, it's my great pleasure to convey greetings from Finland and from the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Employment of Finland to this forum. The increasing global tensions we have seen during past years have made it clear that we have to make better use of renewable resources to achieve an economic green transition. Innovative bioeconomy, including sustainable forestry and agriculture, offers an important element for the global solution in this regard. Bioeconomy plays an important role in supporting the society's green transition. Sustainable bioeconomy is a solution to several climate and biodiversity challenges. Green transition is also increasingly a matter of economic security, regional development, resilience, strategic autonomy, and job creation in rural areas. Bioeconomy is closely linked to the concepts of sustainability, circular economy, resource-smart processes, and carbon neutrality. In Finland, bioeconomy refers to an economy that relies on renewable, biological natural resources in a resource-wise way managed to produce food, energy, products, and services. The most important renewable biological resources in Finland are the biomass. In other words, the organic matter in the forests, soil, fields, sea, and fresh water. They are used as raw materials and derivatives. Ecosystem services are also part of our bioeconomy. For Finland, bioeconomy is especially important sector. In 2022, it created a value added of 29 billion euros per year, accounting for 13% of the value added generated in the national economy. We were one of the first countries to launch bioeconomy strategy, and the current strategy for the years 2022 to 2035, its main objective is to increase this added value of bioeconomy. The objective is to accelerate the annual growth of bioeconomy and its added value from 3% to 4%. And if that will be realized, the added value be in that case about 50 billion euros in 2035. To make full use of bioeconomy's potential, we need to understand the entire bioproduct value chains, invest in world-class experimental research, apply a cross-sectoral approach, and enhance pilots and demonstration platforms. Finland has been evolving into a major bioeconomy thanks to our rich and already mentioned renewable natural resources, outstanding expertise, and of course our traditional industrial strengths. Finland and Finnish businesses have been investing heavily in research, innovation, and sustainable bio-based technology solutions covering the entire life cycle of products, including also their recycling. This is the path we are going to follow in the coming years, keeping also in mind that Finland has the target, which Ambassador already mentioned, to be climate neutral by 2035. The ways and the means that we have addressed in our bioeconomy strategy are the R&D component. It's not only pushing more intensity to R&D in the private and public sector together, but of course making sure that Finland is sufficiently dynamic place not only to develop but also to invest and scale up all these new opportunities of bioeconomy. Our government's goal is to increase R&D investments to the highest level in Europe, to 4% of GDP by 2030. This obviously requires that alongside with governmental investments, the private side invests also, and actually twice as much. This is very strong commitment and strong message to Finnish and other industries, and especially for Finnish bio-based industries, and there also to the green sector. The government is increasing the funding across all sectors, and this is now very great opportunity to the bio-based sector. We are also able to provide solutions to digitally monitor and evaluate bioresources and their sustainability and development. This is really an area where digital cluster and biocluster can find common goals. Being able to, for example, replace fossil-based or cotton-based textiles by sustainable bio-based and forest-based solutions. It is a huge market opportunity. Moreover, of course, there are now very interesting and very large investment opportunities. We should not forget that the bio-based solutions for replacing non-renewable materials and resources is an area which should be better understood and outlined in the policymaking. Fiber-based packaging materials are always recyclable. The recycling rate varies between 70% and 90%. Recyclable and renewable fiber-based packaging materials have an integral role in enhancing the circularity and solving the challenge of microplastics. Bioeconomy, it provides endless opportunities for the new technologies and solutions. Biotechnology provides new production methods, products and applications, and enhanced circularity using bio-based side streams, waste and water. There is a long list of application areas where bio-based materials, nature-based solutions and biotechnologies can provide more sustainable alternatives to existing fossil-based solutions. The potential of sustainable bioeconomy is still untapped. For example, in the fields of packaging materials, which I already mentioned, cellular agriculture, low-carbon construction materials, bio-based molecules, specialty and commodity chemicals, wood-derived battery materials, textile fibers and nanocellular applications in biomedical research. We are on the verge of biotechnological revolution, which is broadly enabling and disruptive. In the near future, we will see exciting and even yet unforeseen applications, services and products coming from the field of biotechnology. Ladies and gentlemen, the World BioEconomy Forum brings together bioeconomy actors from all over the world. This is a great possibility to learn from each other and build global networks. The forum plays an important role in increasing awareness of the bioeconomy and spreading the role of bioeconomy in climate change mitigation. That is why we are here today. With these words, let me wish you a fruitful forum and interesting new insights as takeaway. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Timo. And always we are learning like this time, but I liked very much the expression, okay, the better use of sustainable resources, so we'll bear that in mind. Okay, let's carry on for the first session, which has been named as the People Planet Policies, and then we are focusing about what are the latest development of this ever-increasing sector. Yeah, we are having today some 40 speakers all in all, divided on these various thematic areas. So we would like to express our gratitude to coming along here. Most of you are here. We do still have some people who are participating online. This session is headed by Rocio Diaz Chavez. Do you have a mic already with you? I hope. So, okay, I'm ready to introduce you. So, the Rocio is a senior research fellow at Imperial College London, specialized in sustainable in bioeconomy and bioenergy. She is also one of our advisory board members. So, Rocio, floor is yours. Please go ahead.
Thank you for the introduction, and I'm really excited to be moderating this panel. I think this is one of the pillars of the World BioEconomy Forum, how bioeconomy is really being guided around the world. So this is something that is very close to my heart, and I'm really happy to have here excellent panelists. First, we are going to hear from another board member the message he has for us. From Dr. Jim Philp. He's a microbiologist. He has worked as a policy analyst since 2011 at the OECD. He specializes in industrial biotechnology and biomass sustainability. He became involved in various UK government initiatives in biotechnology, and he is currently a fellow of the Royal Society of Chemistry. He's also an associate fellow of the Institution of Chemical Engineers, and we have a key note from him. It's recorded.
Okay, good day, ladies and gentlemen. I'm delighted to be here to do these opening remarks for this event, a status of the global bioeconomy. Rather a big subject, actually, but we have some background in this. The OECD started work here and published in 2009 something that was considered to be a bit of a landmark achievement at the time, was the Bioeconomy to 2030 Design Policy Agenda. And if you look at the quotations there, what you'll see is what we decided in 2009 that we were talking about, more or less biotechnologies and their contributions to economic activities, which is something even now some of our countries don't really get the gist of. A lot of countries still see biotechnology as being a research activity. So that was 2009, and then things started to get going. But the focus on biotechnology very soon disappeared. And I'll give you the example here of what came from France. So you'll see here a very large emphasis on biomass. And also, as you might imagine from France, there is a large emphasis on primary producers. You see the farmers, the foresters, and the fishermen, as that is often the case when this type of policy comes from France. But there was very little emphasis on biotechnology. And this is a schism that I've been monitoring over the years. So there's a small number of countries see biotechnology and synthetic biology as being at the core of the future bioeconomy, and a much larger number of countries that don't. These are much more interested in the biomass part of the agenda without the biotechnologies. So here we are. This is United States, and I don't have to tell you about this, but you started your side on 2012 with the National Bioeconomy Blueprint, which was a document that did emphasize quite heavily advanced biotechnologies, and I would say at the time particularly on synthetic biology. And I would say over those years, what it looks like to the outsider is a systematic approach to documentation in the bioeconomy. This is not by any means an exhaustive list, just ones that I have had an interest in. For example, the 2015 industrialization of biology was something we were very much interested in at the time, and still interested to this day, is the replacement of chemistry with bio-based chemistry. And then for 2021, we have been emphasizing for a long time, one of the ways to get greater political visibility is to link biotechnologies to climate, to climate policy. And there you see that one from 2021. And also I was very interested in this final document here on the workforce, because I attend quite a few bioeconomy discussions where, when we talk about workforce, I always hear about PhDs, and very often from elite universities. And my comment always is, you don't make a workforce from PhDs, and we have to make that agenda much larger. So that's the United States then, and a very large emphasis, I would say, on biotech. So this takes us right up to the now world famous executive order on biomanufacturing. Now, this is a busy screen here, but it's you people in this audience will know all about this. So here we are, as you see the bio-based products, we see societal changes, etc. There's the inclusion of the workforce. And that word biosecurity, my next slide, you might find this curious. So this is the United States, and the other large global economy, China, has been for a while formulating ideas on the bioeconomy. So here we see what's very up to date on the thinking from China. So we see the same sorts of widespread sectors. And you see in the three powering pathways, the top one of biotech innovation, you see the synthetic biology, and you see how they're going to roll it out as a two-stage process. That word biosecurity in this one slide occurs 3 times, and in the government policy of the 3 powering pathways, the word security occurs again. So this is the world's 2 largest economies going head to head, if you like, in developing a bioeconomy along rather similar lines. So what does that mean for the rest of us. So this is this is a map I tried to keep up to date. I'm not saying it's completely accurate just now. For example, Brazil doesn't have a dedicated bioeconomy strategy, but the Pará state of Brazil does have its dedicated bioeconomy strategy. And those regional strategies are becoming quite important. One that interests me a lot is NRW, North Rhine-Westphalia, is a centre of the chemicals industry in Europe. And there we see it has developed its own regional bioeconomy strategy. So there's quite an emphasis in here in Europe, but it's blossomed to over 50 countries that we would say either have a dedicated strategy or something approaching a dedicated strategy or looking like something under development. So with all that in mind, one of the things that strikes me in a lot of the meetings I attend is there are always new faces. There are always a core of familiar faces, but there are always new faces, which has led me to worry about fragmentation and what we need to do to control that fragmentation. The idea here, I think, is that when you have fragmentation, it's kind of lethal for access to policymakers and for influence. I think I drew this for the first time, I think the year was 2014. And I named this slide with a question mark, biofuel sustainability or Star Wars. And the thing at the time that I was getting was that the private sector was bamboozled, was bewildered by this. And of course, that's never helpful when the private sector can't see a straightforward way, then that will always lead to delays. So how do we overcome this? Now, this is what we're here about today. I'm not saying that the World BioEconomy Forum is the forum that we would need, but when I look at this, the actions and the services which are being offered, I would say this is something like what is required to decrease that fragmentation and therefore increase political visibility. And at that, I'll say I'll thank you for your time and hope that you enjoy the rest of the event. And thanks for that.
Well, we heard these opening remarks from Jim Phillips, so now I would like to invite to give a keynote of a status of Finland-USA collaboration to Ms. Ulla Lainio. She currently serves as commercial counselor at the Embassy of Finland here in Washington. She is with Business Finland, the governmental innovation funding company of Finland. Priorly, she served 14 years at the Finnish and French stock-listed paper, packaging, bioeconomy, and forest industry companies such as UPM, Armstrong, and Wilkie. She has deep knowledge in forest bioeconomy, and she has been actively co-chairing Maine, Michigan, Finland Bioeconomy Collaboration Group with around 100 members and driving co-innovation activities of the forest bioeconomy. She has a Master of Science in Mechanical Engineering at Lappeenranta University of Technology and a Master's of Arts from the University of Turku in Finland. Please, Ms. Ulla, please.
Dear audience here in presence and online, I'm honored to be giving remarks on a unique collaboration model that Finland has established with some partner states here in the United States. I'm coming back a little bit to Amanda Bill's incredible earlier remarks today, and want to thank Amanda for her words. As she also stated, some 5 years ago, Finland started a partnership with the states of Maine and Michigan on sustainable bioeconomy. And this partnership has been very successful. It has been further extended to the states of Minnesota and Washington. And I act as the chair of the Bioeconomy Collaboration Group with Finland, Maine, and Michigan, with about 100 members, representing the industry, research, governments, and policy makers. And this collaboration group is very active in new bioproducts, biomass, wood construction, forestry, and forest policies. The aim of the collaboration is to develop top-notch research and industrial partnership between our countries. And I wanted to discuss the outcomes of, like concrete outcomes of the collaboration with one of the state partners, the state of Maine, here today. And as I said earlier, Finland and Maine are very similar in very many ways. We both have a northern climate and very strong dependency on forest resources. And the forest industry is the largest industry sector in both Finland and in the state of Maine, and our prosperity is very much related to forest bioeconomy and wise use of bioresources. So, and both Finland and Maine have gone through very heavy restructuring of forest industry. And we are both exploring new ways of utilizing woody biomass and manufacturing of new bio-based products. So here I'm very happy to have online with me, I hope this works, from the state of Maine, Claire Hawkins. So Claire is online. I can see you there. Very good. So Claire is the Director, Natural Resource Markets and Economic Development Department of Agriculture, Conservation and Forestry. And Claire has promised to kindly share some concrete outcomes of our unique collaboration. So I would like to hand it over to Claire. Please, the virtual floor is yours.
Thank you, Ulla. As Maine is currently learning from Finland, and hopefully vice versa, and being able to apply the comparative lens at home to identify strengths within our own system. And one of the aspects of international collaboration in this manner that I think is particularly exciting is that in some sense, individual US states can almost be conceptualized as micro bioeconomies within a much larger system. And that is interesting because it allows for the testing of natural resource specific models and approaches that could potentially inform policy and governance at higher levels. And this is important for any country that has vast and diverse natural resources. We need many tools in our toolkit if we're going to address grand challenges or these complex interdisciplinary problems that stretch beyond the means and capability of any one particular country or nation. And so having said that, I think the outcomes from our collaboration with Finland are numerous and all very valuable. Commissioner Beale, in her opening remarks, did note that the network itself, the establishment of the network of 100+ forest bioeconomy experts is a very valuable outcome. And the ability to pick up the phone or get a message to our colleagues in Finland and in other US states has proven very beneficial for Maine. And the scope of topics that this group discusses year in and year out has expanded, which is to be expected. And while we We've also experienced some development of business-to-business relationship opportunities. So we, as a direct result of the US-Finland collaboration, we've had business partnership development here in Maine that have arisen as a direct result of the network. And in particular, technological innovation that supports the forest product industry appears to be a real opportunity for expansion of B2B efforts. And then finally, I believe the Commissioner also touched on the opportunity to better promote our own forest bioeconomy stories within the US and within individual states like Maine. And so from our experience working with Finland, we're also becoming more aware of opportunities to lift up our own stories about the use of innovative wood products such as cross-laminated timber and mass timber that improve our built environment while also offering important ecological services like carbon sequestration. So part of the value of the comparative lens is being able to understand what is working well within our own system and being able to lift that up as an example within the global forest bioeconomy. And so just to wrap up, I think as part of ongoing international exchange, US states have much to offer and can contribute meaningfully to a more sustainable future. And despite increasing technology and increasing globalization, it can often be really challenging to think globally. And this type of collaboration, it really encourages us and challenges us to scale up the way we think about markets, the way we think about collaboration, about change, about challenges, about problem solving. And this is a type of bioeconomy mindset, to use the Commissioner for Maine's excellent new phrase, it's the type of mindset that will really help propel us forward. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Claire. Those were some of the great highlights, and I just wanted to mention that there have been delegations visiting Maine from Finland, and they have been very impressed to see how advanced technologies Maine has. For example, they manufacture 3D-printed residential small houses there in Maine. And Maine also has vast forest resources with, for example, a lot of small fir trees. So it's also important to note that Finland originating forest and biofor industry has a very strong footprint here. It's a very strong footprint and well established here in North America, and the largest Finland originating biofor companies have produced paper packaging, fiber-based products like filters here in North America for several decades already. So later today we will hear some of the representative of those industries. But now I want to thank you for listening in, and I want to turn it back over to our moderator. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ulla and Claire, for these very interesting developments that you share with us. With that, I would like to call our panelists to come here to the front, here to the panel. I would like to call Dr. Kelly Seagraves. She's a senior advisor in the U.S. Department of State's Office of the Special Envoy for Critical Emerging Technology. She leads the coordination of biotechnology policy across the State Department. She's responsible for development and use of emerging biotechnologies by facilitating international cooperation. So thank you very much and welcome. I would also like to call Dr. Silke Boga. She is an agricultural counselor at the delegation of the European Union to the United States of America. Before, she led from 2016 to 2021 the market unit responsible for arable crops and olive oil in the Directorate General of Agriculture and Rural Development at the European Commission in Brussels. She has managed economics of the various agricultural markets, and and she was also before working for the Federal Ministry of Food and Agriculture in Germany. And I would like to ask also, please take a seat, Mr. Vicente de Acevedo Araújo Filho, from Brazil. He has been a diplomat for 16 years with sustainable development, and he was engaged in the negotiation of the SDGs and the Rio conference before. So thank you very much for joining the panel. We have 2 other members of the panel that are online, being this a hybrid event. So I would like to welcome as well Dr. Alka Sharma. She is a senior advisor in the Department of Biotechnology from the Government of India and former managing director of Biotechnology Industry Research Assistant Council in India. She had a role as coordinator of the COVID-19 activities and in DBT and BIRAC, and it resulted into achieving a significant milestone, including development of 5 indigenous COVID-19 vaccines under the Mission COVID. So, and finally, we have also online, Mr. Patrick Barrett. He works for the Agricultural Inspector Research Division Bioeconomy, Agriculture Knowledge and Innovation System of the Department of Agriculture, Food and the Marine in Ireland. He holds a BSc in Biochemistry and an MC in Biological Science. He has been working for the department for several years and is based in the Research and Codex Division. He leads the Bioeconomy, ECIS, and Agri-Digitalization Policy Development and Implementation. So thank you very much to all our panelists here in person and also online. So I would like to start with 5 minutes each of you to just mention what is the state of the bioeconomy in the region or in the area that you are working with. So I would like to start with Kelly, please. You have 5 minutes, please.
All right, perfect. Thank you all. I want to thank everyone who's here in person and everyone online, and once again thank the forum for inviting me to speak. We've actually already heard some really great remarks and summary of the US's biotechnology and biomanufacturing for the bioeconomy executive order. Those remarks came from Greg Jaffa and Dr. Philip from the OECD. So I don't want to spend too much time reiterating those details, but I'll just kind of remind you that this executive order laid out our policy, the US government's policy, for coordinating really a whole of government approach to advancing biotechnology and biomanufacturing towards innovative solutions in health, climate change, energy, food security, agriculture, supply chain resilience, and national and economic security. Another way that we refer to this line of effort is the National Biotechnology and Biomanufacturing Initiative. So if you hear those terms, it means and refers to the same thing. I want to emphasize that that central to this policy and its outcomes are principles of equity, ethics, safety, and security that enable access to technologies and products in a manner that benefits all Americans and the global community. The U.S. bioeconomy is inherently connected to the global bioeconomy, and together we need to balance investing in new capabilities with taking steps to reduce biological risks. Which gives me a good segue to some of the lines of effort that maybe were not highlighted as strongly in those earlier talks. Those include elevating and promoting best practices in biological risk management as a cornerstone of the life cycle of biotechnology and biomanufacturing, research and development, and product use. We're also working on securing and protecting the bioeconomy by adopting a forward-looking and proactive approach to assessing and anticipating threats, risks, and potential vulnerabilities, including through partnerships with the private sector and other relevant stakeholders, including our international community. And then finally, I want to highlight and then expand upon that we're working on engaging the international community, and today is a really great example of that, on issues related to the bioeconomy in a way that promotes best practices for safe and secure biotechnology and biomanufacturing research, innovation, and product development and use. So, transitioning a little bit to focus specifically on our international engagement, this is really the State Department's primary role in the National Biotechnology and Biomanufacturing Initiative. And our priorities are in both what we call the promote and the protect lanes. On the promote side, we want to enhance biotechnology research and development cooperation, grow resilient and clean biomanufacturing networks and supply chains, improve regulatory cooperation and access to data for the bioeconomy, and really catalyze workforce development. On the protect side, we are assessing over-the-horizon risks with our partners, mitigating them together, including ensuring our controls are up to the task for securing critical biotechnologies and strengthening biosafety and biosecurity globally. On the responsible front, the Department of State is working on fostering international discussion at the forefront of the global biotechnology policy debate. We want to examine with our like-minded partners, including emerging economies, and with academia and industry stakeholders on how technology can advance in alignment with our shared values, including to bolster democracy and benefit all people. And I'll just highlight some of our maybe recent successes, which is that we've been working really hard with the interagency, including the White House, on specifically some bilateral engagements, which are include the U.S.-Singapore Critical and Emerging Technology Dialogue, the U.S.-India Initiative on Critical and Emerging Technology, and the U.S. and Republic of Korea Next Generation Critical and Emerging Technology Dialogue, all of which have included components associated with biotechnology and biomanufacturing, and that are just the beginning of our work together. They give some good examples of the types of engagements that we want to be doing, and I really encourage you all to work with us to continue these discussions on how we can work together on enhancing the bioeconomy, or to start those discussions with us. And then I think just to wrap up, so together we need to create the architecture or ecosystem to foster biotechnology development, one that embodies our vision for a safe, secure, and sustainable bioeconomy. Our approach will continue to be multi-stakeholder and must include emerging economies, civil society, and industry. The State Department and the wider US government's goal is strong networks, plural, of countries, companies, universities, connected by shared values and a shared commitment to design and deploy technology for the benefit of all people and for our shared bioeconomy. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Kelly. I think this gives us a broader understanding of where the U.S. is moving towards and what you have been working on. Let's hear now a little bit about the case of the EU and also the links with United States. So, Silke, if you want to give us your statements on this.
Thank you very much, and thank you to the organizers and the Finnish Embassy for inviting me. Finland is clearly a leader in bioeconomy, so I think you will hear a lot today what stands not only for Finland, but for what is good in Europe about bioeconomy during this day. And bioeconomy in Europe is very important. It's an important economic sector. We have around 8.3, more or less, workforce in bioeconomy, and we have a GDP share of around 5%. When you think in bioeconomy services, it goes up to 10%. So it is an important sector, and it's worth looking into how we can strengthen this sector even further. We see in Europe particularly high innovation potential in the area of biomanufacturing. This is something where I think a lot of progress has been made, and also high potential for job creation, and even you could speak of reindustrialization of some of the rural areas. So it is a very, very important future thinking around how we can make Europe's economy even stronger. In the history, when you look back, I think the first mentioning of bioeconomy at European scale was in the early 2000s, when it emerged from life science in the research department of our institution, the EU Commission, and the first real strategy emerged in 2012. That was then updated in 2018, and those of you who are a bit familiar with European policies, then with the incoming current administration we have the Green Deal coming in as the greatest project to make our continent carbon neutral. So a lot of policies have been refocused on that aspect, and bioeconomy of course is in the center of all of that, and it is also for us a very important aspect that our bioeconomy strategy is compatible with our Green Deal objectives. So in that respect, the Council, so all the member states have asked the Commission to table a progress report that has happened in 2022 to see where we stand with the bioeconomy strategy and what comes next. And when you look a bit into our bioeconomy strategy, you see that it's a very broad, holistic concept that looks at all aspects of sustainability. We have heard that before, so environment, economic and social, all three are key to make this strategy a success. And me, coming from agriculture, of course, for us it's particularly important to have a view on the biomass producers, on the primary producers, the farmers and the foresters, and to see how they can benefit, because they are key enablers, obviously, for what comes afterwards in the bioeconomy strategy, the bioeconomy as such. It has a broad objective, range of objectives, ranging from food security to reducing dependencies, mitigating climate change and job creation. And with the updated 2018 strategy, there is still a very strong focus on research and innovation. This is where it all came from. And there's three priorities, and the first priority, strengthening bio-based sectors, is a close link to innovation, to investment, to looking in how research and public partnerships can strengthen innovation in that sector. It has a second, more on deployment focusing angle, where we looked at how we can foster national and regional bioeconomy strategies. And I counted until this morning that we have 10 national strategies. Now I learned that Sweden has published one, so we are at 11 now. And I think we have at the regional level around 28 or up to close to 30 strategies in Europe that underpin how much it has kind of trickled down into the national and regional level, and how much the thinking evolves at the policy front. And the last point, and that is something that is maybe typical Europe, is that to understand ecological boundaries and to have a very strong focus that we actually produce sustainable biomass and use sustainable biomass, and that we are aware and understand better the trade-offs between the different needs in the bioeconomy. So where do we stand today? Maybe just, I think what we can say is we have made great progress. We can consider the bioeconomy strategy in line with our Green Deal objectives. There is an increasing mobilization of private investment, and Secretary Jätinen spoke about it for Finland. Of course, is it enough? It's never enough. We need to make sure that this is growing and that we attract more investments and further build on that. The joint undertaking, the Circular Bio-Based Europe joint undertaking, those who work in this field know it certainly is, I think, a flagship in that regard. We have also managed to bring it more into the agricultural policy, where biomass production for the bioeconomy has a greater, finds a greater role in the national implementation of our European agricultural policy. And I think we have managed, as I said at the beginning, a strong position for bio-based chemicals and materials. What was said by Kelly before, workforce is an attention point, where how do we make sure that we have trained workforce? So this is an important aspect to look into it. Better managing biomass demands. The competition around biomass will be an issue in Europe, certainly. Also looking at consumption patterns, so we should not only on the production side, but look also how consumption influences the need for developing different kind of products out of the bioeconomy, and better integrating, even more integrating bioeconomy in all EU policies areas we have. I think I'll leave it here. Probably I have already exceeded my 5 minutes.
Thank you very much, Silke. So let's move now to India. We have Dr. Alka here online. So I would like to give your 5 minutes on what is the current situation in India related to bioeconomy. Please go ahead.
Thank you very much. I would like to thank the organizer for providing me this opportunity, and also I'd like to thank the moderator for moderating this session. And this is a very interesting topic, and from India I would like to just give you very brief about that bioeconomy strategy in India. In 5 minutes I'll try to cover an overview. So as many of you are aware that India is the largest vaccine manufacturer, and India has third largest startup ecosystem globally. And currently our bioeconomy has crossed more than 137 billion in 2023. This report has been released last week only, and but the data is up to 2022 in this report, and the target is to achieve 150 billion and the bioeconomy by 2025, and by 2030 the target is to achieve 300 billion. So the government of India has made lot of efforts on laying a strategy, creating ecosystem to facilitate end-to-end processes, developing critical mass of desired skill, and also addressing regulatory issues. So there is a huge jump in the rank of India, that is from 2015 to 2022 as per the Global Innovation Index 2022, and India as a global innovation hub resulted into creation of more than 7,000 biotech startups till 2022. So as many previous speakers have explained about the new initiative just in the line of the bioeconomy growth. So as we know that crisis of climate change due to burning of forests, melting of glaciers, non-renewable resource material consumption and waste generation are global threats. Concerted technological approach by leaving factories and machines, reclaim resources from waste.
Alka is cutting a little bit. Let's see if we can maybe reconnect with Alka. And I just wonder if we still have online Patrick. Well, maybe while they try to reconnect, we can move.
And
okay, sorry.
Innovation in various industries. And this will also foster a future that is more sustainable, innovative, and responsive to global challenges, and also potential to create new jobs and intensify entrepreneurial momentum. So in India, this will be achieved by setting India at the forefront of pioneering biomanufacturing in research, accelerating translation of biomanufacturing innovations from lab to market, and also to address national priorities, which include food security, affordable modern healthcare, sustainable solutions to mitigate climate change and environmental degradation, and biomass and bioenergy. And the backbone of biomanufacturing initiative comprises advanced tools of biotechnology, including synthetic biology, genome editing, microbial bioresources, metabolic engineering, and the supportive technology also include artificial intelligence and data and digital connectivity and medtech. So a strategic roadmap is being formulated, which is mainly covering the gaps and challenges, guidance and suggestions on new initiatives, mechanism to establish public-private partnership, and also to establish interministerial international collaboration. So here I would like to mention that Department of Biotechnology, Government of India has signed implementation arrangement with National Science Foundation, USA this year in August, and the overall aim is to steer our country on the path of accelerated green growth by fostering biotransformation through a systematic approach of technology enablement. Thank you very much. I'm here for taking participation in the panel discussion. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you very much, Alka. Yes, we will move briefly to the panel discussion. So I would like to also welcome online Patrick Barrett. That he has, of course, the good news that Ireland recently published the bioeconomy strategy. So if you can brief us on that, we have 5 minutes, please.
So apologies, can you just confirm that you can hear me, because we have lost your sound on my side.
Yes, we can hear
you. Yeah, even I can't hear.
No problem. I'll proceed anyhow on the basis that I think you can hear me. So first of all, thanks very much for the invitation to appear today on the panel from the World BioEconomy Forum. And particularly to speak to all our esteemed colleagues. So just to highlight that in line with the EU bioeconomy strategy, Ireland published a national bioeconomy policy statement in 2018, and this really set out a long-term vision for the development of the bioeconomy in the Irish context. And that policy statement really didn't pick out particular routes for the bioeconomy to develop, but rather set out a vision and a set of guiding principles for how to best optimize the use of our biological resources, but also to consider the need for sustainable development, the need to align the bioeconomy with climate action and circular economy, and also to consider the role that the bioeconomy can play for rural and regional areas and for jobs and competitiveness. To build on this, in the last number of months, we have now published a National Bioeconomy Action Plan for the period 2023 to 2025. And this picks up on a set of 7 pillar areas: governance and awareness, research, development and innovation, nature, climate, energy and circular economy, agriculture, food, forestry and marine, community, regions and cities, industry and enterprise, and knowledge and skills. So it really recognizes across these 7 pillars that bioeconomy needs to be deeply integrated across these areas to be fully effective. We have 33 actions, and these actions, which I'll go into slightly more in just a second, really are setting to, I suppose, make a gear change in bringing the bioeconomy from the niche to the norm. To get to this where we are today with our action plan, we really took an evidence-based approach. We engaged our innovation community, with our state agencies. We established a stakeholder forum with a wide range of stakeholders across many industries and the public and the non-governmental sector. We undertook a public consultation and we produced an expert report. So we really had a lot of evidence to pull together our action plan. Our key focus in our action plan is really enhanced policy, sectoral and regulatory coherence, but also to have enhanced investment in piloting and demonstrating the bioeconomy, and to really search, learn, experiment, and to develop new ideas and new bio-based innovation and solutions where they're needed to be scaled up, and to develop the cooperative approaches that are needed to partner between public and private sector and other sectors to bring the bio types of actors through capital and operational expenditure and the development of piloting facilities. So really just to highlight some key upcoming actions that we'll be undertaking in 2024. We really want to communicate more broadly with both industry and the public to enhance their awareness of the opportunities around bioeconomy, innovation and solutions and bio-based products. But this is important because all these actors will play key roles in developing the bioeconomy. We want to continue our enhanced investment in research funding and investment in research infrastructure and piloting and demonstration infrastructure to support the scaling up of bioeconomy developments. We want to further align bioeconomy with circular economy policy and our National Climate Action Plan to really show how bio-based innovation and solutions are a key element of addressing climate action. We want to really pilot and demonstrate and scale up bioeconomy innovation and solutions for food systems transformation. And we really think this is absolutely essential, because if we want to provide added value and to really look at zero waste processing and reduce food loss and waste and really provide added value for farmers, we really need to explore the the latent innovation potential that's not really been uncovered to date, and it is a key opportunity for our farmers and the agri-food sector. We want to work more closely with our regions, and this was mentioned by a couple of the participants to date, to really look at governance of the bioeconomy at regional and local levels, to look at co-creation, and to look at the use of local and regional co-funding sources to develop the bioeconomy. We really want to work also with our industry to look at enhancing commercialization opportunities and to take a coordination investment approach with them. And finally, we are going to have a deep examination of the knowledge and skills that's required for the bioeconomy. And this is going to involve a coordinated approach across our primary, secondary, further and higher education levels, but also with our different various partners to look at continuous professional development and skills development needed by industry. And ultimately, all of this will be complemented by a coordinated approach across government. We have a coordination group involving 9 ministries and 11 agencies, and this will continue. And we will undertake a transparent report with regular reporting to government. So this outlines where we are in Ireland, and really we're working very closely with our partners such as Finland in the EU, and also through working through research of funding with our US-Ireland programs to work with our American partners. So thanks very much. I hope this was a useful outlook from the Irish perspective.
Yes, thank you very much, Patrick. I think it was an excellent overview of what is happening in Ireland. So now we are coming back, because it is a global panel, we are coming back to the Americas. So we have here the representative from Brazil. So Vincent, could you please give us in 5 minutes an overview of the current situation in Brazil?
Thank you so much. Thank you for the organizers for hosting this event. I think it's very important that we bring together governments and the private sector and other institutions to discuss bioeconomy. And thank you for Finland for hosting. I can't think of a better background for a bioeconomy discussion, such as the one that we have here. I hope the ambassador, I can't see him anymore. I don't want to steal the event, but I was in a meeting with the mayor of Rio de Janeiro last week. We're organizing a lot of events there next year. And he said, you know, tell these guys that Rio would openly, warmly welcome the host to host this event in Rio in the future. So the message is delivered. I would like to acknowledge the presence of Paula Caballero here, a dear friend, and some would consider her the mother of the Sustainable Development Goals. We worked together for many years in, coming up with the 17 goals that we have nowadays. And I think bioeconomy would feature much more prominently if the SDGs were negotiated now than they were in 2015. So I'm looking forward to catching up. I think the first message that I would like to deliver here today is that Brazilian private sector is way ahead the Brazilian government in terms of bioeconomy. Bioeconomy is spread through our economy in many ways, since the most traditional bioeconomies that I'm using the plural here, agriculture, we're the second largest agricultural producer in the world, bioenergy, the forest products, both large scale, small scale with traditional communities, but also large scale. We have Natura, one of the greatest cosmetic companies producing in the Amazon and sourcing from cooperatives sustainably. But also, the more developed and high-tech types of bioeconomy. We have a few unicorns that are working in nanobiotechnology in São Paulo State. We have plenty, an ecosystem of startups, of agri-techs and companies trying to use the diversity that Brazil has and transform it into wealth. So the private sector has been moving forward for a few years or a few decades, or if you think about it, since the beginning of Brazil, we started as a sugarcane producing colony of Portugal. So it's bioeconomy is in our blood from the beginning. But since January, when President Lula took over, there was a quick diagnosis that the government should pick up. So the first step that we took, was to come up with a complete plan to transform the Brazilian economy into a sustainable one. And it's the plan for ecological transformation that was created by the Minister of Finance. It is important to mention that it was the Minister of Finance that spearheaded these efforts, because we're talking about the axis of this plan is sustainable financing, technology, sustainable infrastructure, energy transition, circular economy, and most importantly, bioeconomy. So bioeconomy left the silo of the Minister of the Environment or the Ministry of Agriculture, and is now being actually taken care by let's say, the most important ministers of them all, which is the one that holds the key to the coffers, and the financial institutions and tools to foster an economic sector. And then, because of the creation of this plan for economical transformation, ecological transformation, we just launched a few months ago the working group for creating the national strategy for bioeconomy. And again, it's not being led by one specific ministry. It's not being led by the Ministry of, the Environment, of Agriculture, but it's being spearheaded by the Ministry of Finance, the Ministry of the Environment, the Ministry of Science and Technology, and the Ministry of Development. So it's a multi-stakeholder effort that is trying to bring up a plan, a comprehensive plan to foster bioeconomy in the country. The plan will be launched in May, most likely end of April, beginning of May, so we don't have the final content of the plan, but we have a few priorities. The first one is access to knowledge, and when we're talking about access to knowledge, it's both high-tech, university-produced research institutions, but also the knowledge that traditional communities hold, which could be very valuable when it comes to bioeconomy and producing value out of our biodiversity. There's There's also social inclusion, which is really important, that the bioeconomy that we developed in Brazil also brings the most vulnerable into the formal economy and lifts them from poverty. Bioeconomy financing, so we're looking into mechanisms to incentivize the financing of bioeconomic activities in more favorable ways. Deep in the value chains. Obviously, we don't want just to extract, a product from the forest or to produce soybeans and just to export it. We want to actually add value to the bioeconomic sectors and producing chains, but in a sustainable way. So the sustainable use of biodiversity is imperative. We need to keep this richness that we have for the future generations. Since we are catching up internally in terms of public policies, we also want to catch up externally in our external policy. And that's why we are creative. We have just announced in December the 1st, President Lula, when we started or inaugurated our presidency of G20, we launched the G20 Initiative on Bioeconomy. This is, I think, something really new. We are not aware of a multilateral official discussion that was fully dedicated exclusively to bioeconomy, and it's going to mirror the working groups and the task forces that G20 already has. We didn't want to create a working group because we want to collectively build an understanding of what bioeconomy is and should be, and the role of bioeconomy at G20 in the future. We want the other members also to decide together with us if we want to continue this in the future or not. So this initiative has an end at the Brazilian presidency, and we envisage as the final product to have a agreed set of high-level principles on bioeconomy. It's going to be structured into 3 axes of discussions. The first one is the importance of technology, sciences, innovation, and also traditional knowledge to bioeconomy. The second is the sustainable use of bioeconomy of biodiversity to bioeconomy. And the third one is the role that bioeconomy can play and should play to foster sustainable development in the 3 dimensions, the social, the environmental, and the economic ones. We're going to have meetings, presential meetings, for each of these axes, and the last one is going to be in Rio, together with many other events, including the UN Summit on the synergies of climate change and sustainable development, and many others, but I'll give some more information later. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think these are exciting news, and I think that I appreciate all the presentations from the panel. This has given us a global understanding of what is happening and mostly where we are moving. There is a lot of work that has already been done, and I would just like to ask you, Kelly, I mean, you mentioned about the US updating its biostrategy more or less a year ago. What have been the major steps that have been looked after this updated biostrategy?
Sure. That's a really great question, and the short answer is there's a lot that we've done in the last year. So I will try and be brief, but I have been so impressed with the strides that our interagency has been able to make in just a little over a year. It's been really outstanding. So since the signing of the executive order, that really catalyzed action across our government to set bold research and development goals. I think this is one of the highlight reports that's come out. It's called the Bold Goals Report for Research and Development. So I encourage you to look it up. We've also developed a plan for building the bio workforce of the future. That's another name of a report that has come out recently from the White House. So again, I encourage you to look at that. I've already mentioned promoting biotechnology and biomanufacturing cooperation internationally. And we've been working to ensure that these technologies are developed and utilized responsibly. Meanwhile, private companies have continued to invest in biomanufacturing and have added over $20 billion in biomanufacturing investment commitments that have been announced for projects across the country since the start of the Biden-Harris administration. Because I don't have much time, I'm just going to highlight 2 other short success stories. So the The Memorandum of Understanding between our National Science Foundation and the Government of India was already mentioned, which is fantastic. The National Science Foundation has really been doing a lot of work on the bioeconomy, and so the other thing I'll mention is a $50 million institute that was launched through a partnership between the National Science Foundation and the Simon Foundation, which is a private foundation. This new institute, called the National Institute for Theory in Mathematics and Biology, will create a nationwide collaborative research community that we hope will be generating new mathematical results and uncover fundamental principles governing life, which we also hope will basically allow us to make discoveries in areas as diverse as nature conservation, biomedicine, and technology development. And then one last success story to highlight from the U.S. Department of Agriculture is that they have invested $9.5 million in a bioproduct pilot plant program. This program will support the scale-up of sustainable value-add products from agricultural commodities, and the first 3 projects that were selected this year were selected to demonstrate the conversion of organic feedstocks into materials like bioplastics, thermoplastic rubber, or biobinders for use in recycled asphalt pavements. So those are just a brief highlight of some things from this year.
Thank you. And I think, again, I think it's really, really exciting because the different topics that have been mentioned across the different presentations are also here. And I would like to ask Silke, listening to these uses, let's say, of biomass here for bioeconomy, how has the EU bioeconomy strategy impacted and at the same time differentiated from the case of United States?
Well, biomass use in Europe is certainly, I think the awareness around the limit of the resources available and the potential of further developing biomass as a source is certainly a big topic. And I think we have, looking at the US, a different approach to that, also because we are a highly densely populated continent with lots of competition around biomass use, so I think the approach is a little bit different. And when you look at what a potential future biomass use could look like, there's different studies out. One sees that we have a gap of 40 to 70% of, or even higher, of what we would like to have as biomass for future bioeconomy uses and what we have right now. So it is in the bioeconomy strategy. I think it's recognized and it will remain and maybe become even a stronger focus that we need to prioritize also in the way we kind of balance different policies on how to create biomass, but also how to use biomass, and where are the most promising sectors and where are those sectors where we kind of should focus on. And I give you the example of bioenergy. I think there will be a discussion around it, and biofuels. And there is sort of a kind of emerging, more and more emerging awareness that it is important to use biofuels, where liquid fuels right now can really not be replaced by other means of energy. So in aviation, for instance, or in the maritime sector. So as an example. And another way of looking at biomass use, of course, is try to look at where we can make most use of the biomass we have. Talking about, it was mentioned before, waste streams, food waste, other waste streams, how we can use land that is not used for biomass production more efficiently, degraded land when it is land that is not suitable for agriculture, classic food production, and how we integrate even better classic agricultural food and feed production into where byproducts are used. This is Europe has a long history on use of byproducts. It's not that it's not happening, but I think there's always more potential, and especially circular solutions, circular and regional solutions are most promising in that context to make really optimal use of the biomass and involve all the actors on the ground to get as much as biomass into the bioeconomy as we can in a sustainable way. I think that's the main point, because we have Green Deal objectives that are very important, and the biodiversity is a big point. Because of time, we couldn't talk about it, but we have to keep in mind that we don't want to stretch our biomass production beyond our planetary boundaries. I think it's a very, very important aspect.
Sure, and I think that's a very important point, and I would like to go to Patrick, just following on this same aspect of agriculture and the limitations that actually exist in Europe compared to United States, or even the case of Brazil. So with this, how is Ireland considering this view of, let's say, industrial and agricultural sector? How do you expect it to grow in the case of Ireland? You are muted.
So very good question. Thank you, Rocio. And just to follow on from what Silke has said, so I mean, the whole point of developing a sustainable and circular bioeconomy in the Irish context is to aid the addressing of the significant challenges that, for example, the agri-food sector would face in terms of climate emissions, or in terms of the challenges it may have in not really fully utilizing or optimizing the use of biomass, because we currently generally follow a quite linear process where we take a biomass resource, we use it, and we produce a waste, and that then has to be managed by the waste system. This is a very significant opportunity for all countries, and this offers an opportunity to really transform the agri-food sector to produce a whole range of sustainable inputs into the system, and to prevent the input of non-renewable or non-sustainable resources that can come from the biosystem. But also it can provide new innovative and high-value opportunities for both the farming community and the agri-food sector. And this can all be done in tandem with maintenance of a climate-neutral agricultural system that is also resilient and considers biodiversity. And that's where we've heavily invested in science, technology, and innovation to prove the principles of the development of a climate-neutral farm, one that makes better uses of local resources. You would be maybe aware that Ireland is largely a grassland and agri-economy, and grass, for instance, is not just something that you can feed to an animal, but is also, through bioeconomy and biotechnology thinking, something that can produce multiple resources. And I suppose what we're trying to show is that the bioeconomy is really thinking for the future, and is really something that can be an inherent part of the social fabric of providing new jobs, new green skills, new green opportunities at a local and regional level, beyond the current thinking of the way we construct our agri-food systems. And this is really important. It will allow our systems to evolve, to really consider the challenges around climate action and the development of a circular economy. And it's really important for the opportunities around rural and regional economies.
Thank you, Patrick. So let me move to another topic that has also been touched within bioeconomy here, and I will have one more intervention from Alka and then from Vicente, and then I'll move to questions here with the audience. But I think that the topic of health has been touched, and it is in bioeconomy also a very important sector. And I think, Alka, you mentioned how in India this has been also an important sector, particularly after or during the COVID-19 pandemic. So if you could just briefly let us know what are the plans of India also within the, your bioeconomy strategy on this health sector and biotechnology. You are muted.
Thank you very much. So as I mentioned earlier, and many of you may be aware, the Department of Biotechnology, Government of India has been at the forefront in creating and nurturing a biotech innovation ecosystem across the country. And we have adopted three-pronged strategy, that is building capacities, fostering new and advanced product development, and enhancing manufacturing capability also in the country, and public-private partnership, interministerial and international collaboration. And international collaboration are also being encouraged to build capacities for biomanufacturing, as I mentioned earlier about NSF collaboration between Department of Biotechnology and NSF for biomanufacturing, biotechnology innovation and biomanufacturing. And we are also fostering industry academia partnership to bring innovation leads closer to commercialization. And with these initiatives and programs, India has been able to achieve major breakthrough in in development of innovative products. So I would like to just very briefly tell you that this initiative for fostering high performance biomanufacturing in the country, we are now consulting all the stakeholders, and based on the national consultation and also based on brainstorming on this area. So thematic areas have been identified, and this includes bio-based chemicals and enzymes, functional food and smart proteins, precision biotherapeutics, climate resilient agriculture, carbon capture, its utilization, futuristic marine and research. So these all sectors are very important from country's point of view, as per the national needs, priorities, going to contribute significantly to the Indian bioeconomy. And the growth of bioeconomy is now we are seeing through public-private partnership, industry participation, academia industry participation for developing products, taking products from lab to market, they are connecting all the dots, and the entire product development chain, starting from ideation up to commercialization. So these actually the initiatives are going to add significantly in the bioeconomy growth of the country. Thank you. Over to you.
Thank you, Alka. So one last issue, brief, but I think it's really important that Vicente, you touch on it, and because of the geographical position of Brazil with the Amazon and a lot of what you are planning to do there, indigenous knowledge and the social aspect. I think these are key issues within bioeconomy. If you could just, and because of your experience also with SDGs, just in 1 minute tell us what do you think it is going, or how the government is planning to develop this area?
I think it's very important that we pay attention to the rights of these local communities and that we reward the knowledge that we acquire from them. We have seen in the past examples in which products were taken from the forest, but not randomly. Obviously, the local populations told these companies how to, or what these products were used for, and then produced high-tech medicines or other products, cosmetics, and these communities never saw the rewards of it. So this is one of the preoccupations that we have, both in our now being incepted national policies, but also at the G20 negotiations or discussions that we want to hold. Very briefly, we want to invert the logic of G20 negotiations. Usually we spend 80–90% of the time of our interactions at G20 negotiating a text, and we diplomats, we love a good text. We can spend a half a day in a coma, but we want to do the opposite for the initiative on bioeconomy. We want to have 90% of the time spent in discussions like this, and 10% of the time just negotiating one-pager of high-level principles. And one of the high-level principles, at least from our perspective, should be the proper rewarding of the local communities who provide both the knowledge and also the products sometimes for bioeconomy.
Excellent. Thank you very much. We have time for maybe one question from the audience here. Please don't be shy. We can have one question here, please. Yes, thank you. Please introduce yourself quickly and your question or comment.
Thank you. My name is Florent Bernard. I'm the Science Counselor of the EU, colleague of Silke. I just want to flag that if you want to have a global hub, international cooperation in research innovation is the basis. And we're offering for that to the world the Horizon Europe research innovation platform. Everyone is welcome. We have 141 countries participating already. As we speak, my colleagues from Brussels are in Brasilia to discuss cooperation with Brazil. As we speak, your colleague from Department of State is in Paris and Brussels discussing with my colleagues also on the bioeconomy. And I've had a lot of cooperation with DBT in India in the past, and they are already participating in this project. So I wanted to stress that a lot of researchers are always asking for this platform for allowing for international cooperation, and I want to flag that Horizon Europe is there for the international community. My brief question is to you. What is the landscape? It's very broad, but how is the private sector reacting to the executive order? Because we've heard a lot about the government pushing for the bioeconomy, but I've not seen so much apart from health, of course, but for the rest, how is the private sector investing? Do you have numbers, reactions? Are they ready? We know that the investment in digital has been fantastic because of the high return on a very short time on investment, but biotech and bioeconomy is very different. So what are the insights on that? Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much for the question. I don't have prepared numbers for you, unfortunately. So this will probably be an unsatisfactory answer, but I encourage us to discuss after in a more fulsome way. I think one of the projects that I would like to highlight is actually through the DoD. They've been doing a lot of infrastructure building, working with the private sector. So there's, for example, BioMade, and I can't remember what BioMade stands for, but it is a consortium of private industry that the DoD is investing in to build up biomanufacturing capabilities. Now, of course, these are going to be focused on the DoD's needs, but in doing so, they're aiming to raise especially more smaller companies up, and the expectation is that they will not only be making products for DoD needs, that those companies will end up making a more diverse range of products. So that's just one example, but we have certainly seen a lot of engagement on the private sector. We also have I'm trying to remember what the commission's full name is. There's a Senate commission and focused on biotechnology, and they have been looking into this and trying to engage and really gather views from the private sector. And so they're going to have their interim report coming out here this month or early January, and so we'll see also what kind of numbers they have in that report. So I feel like that didn't fully answer your question, but did my best.
Okay, because of time, please just let me finish with some key points that have been discussed in this global view that we had in this panel. We have been around the world and we missed several of them, but we have touched them in previous forums. So I think actually that was going to be one of my points. All our panelists mentioned research and innovation, and I think the international collaboration on that area, exchange of knowledge, it's really important, how we can further collaborate. It has also been mentioned several times on the public and private partnerships. This is very important. ecological and planetary boundaries, how we can foster the bioeconomy within the limits that we have and how we can respect them. Not just the traditional 3 pillars of sustainability, governance has also been mentioned. It's very important. And actually several of us working in research, we include this 4th pillar of governance. Workforce, indigenous knowledge and social aspects have become also more tangible now in the new plans and new strategies of bioeconomy. It is something very important that has to go hand in hand with the development of bioeconomy. All the national and regulatory strategies that have been mentioned and also the plans of those that are coming also focus on different aspects of bioeconomy, but food is coming still very important within this, and how to sort out the problems of the waste, how to reduce consumption. It's not just production, but consumption. And still, despite of the so close time we have to achieving the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030, I think most of the things that have been mentioned here are also very linked to that. So I think with that, I try to make also, well, there has been a brief mention and also several times on the collaboration across the countries that have been represented or regions that are represented here, but others that are also not on this occasion, but that we think that this is something that the World BioEconomy Forum can also help to foster this international collaboration, so not just bilateral, but also in a more global way. With this, I would like to thank again our panelists here in person and online, and I would like you to join me in appreciating their participation here. They will be here if you have further comments. Thank you very much. We have a coffee break now.
Yeah,
sorry?
Coffee break. We carry on 11:25. With the next session will be headed by Mr. Aska Hyttinen, and then we are talking about money.
Thank you very much. Thank you everyone. Thank you.
Prospectum page, please write in the questions that you have for any of the panelists for the next 3 sessions that we have going forward. Please just share your thoughts, your comments, and especially if you've got questions to a particular panelist, if you could write the panelist's name. That way we can get to you live feedback before the session is over. The other thing I wanted to just understand is if we have any comments, please just write that this is a comment so that we can sift through them quite quickly. Questions that you have for any of the panelists for the next 3 sessions that we have going forward. Please just share your thoughts, your comments, and especially if you've got questions to a particular panelist, if you could write the panelist's name, that way we can get to live feedback before the session is over. The other thing I wanted to just understand is if we have any comments, please just write that this is a comment so that we can sift through them quite quickly. Question that you have for any of the panelists for the next few sessions that are going forward. Yeah, so I think all of us have enjoyed the session this morning. It's been really exciting to hear from the different countries, the strategies, the similarities, and the call for action. I think I've seen from the comments that we've been talking about what Brazil had mentioned about the G20, and I think this is exciting times for us to be talking about the bioeconomy and how it is bringing together all the different global dialogues that we've been having around climate change, indigenous knowledge, sharing of experiences, looking at aspects of health, biodiversity conservation, environmental and social governance. And so this whole big sustainability agenda, I think, has been very critical. And so the Bioeconomy Forum, having come these 6 years into fruition, has really been driving this agenda. And so I look forward to the next 3 sessions and just unpacking what's happening in the product space, in the finance space, and in looking towards the future. Thank you very much.
carry on with the next session. All right. Okay. Anyhow, this is a living program, so we carry on with the ones who are here already here. So, okay. Anyhow, the ones who are already here and hear me, we carry on now for the next session. The next session will be headed by Mr. Asko Hyttinen, and this session is the name as Corporate Leaders in the Financial World. This time we are only focusing on the financial world, and we try to understand now the role of the bioeconomy in related economical aspects. As I told in the morning session that there is now expectation that the value of the bioeconomy may reach up to level 30 trillion US dollar, corresponding to about 1/3 of the all economical activity. So I will challenge a bit now the balance, so maybe they have a better understanding of this. So with these words, I'm pleased to introduce Mr. Asko Hyttinen. Asko has a vast global experience in the forest industry, holds management roles in major companies like Stora Enso and UPM. He is a currently board member and senior advisor. He contributes in various industries, including wood products and process design. And he is also a board member of World BioEconomy Forum. So with this word, Asko, the floor is yours. Please.
Yes, thank you, Jukka, and welcome to all again here to the World BioEconomy Forum, and all you who are here present, but also many of you online, wherever you might be. And I think we are heading to this financing sector of the business, and as Jukka mentioned, money talks, and how to get the green transition going, and these are the topics we are going to touch upon from various angles. Maybe I just one anecdote for the day before we start, that another guy asked maybe yesterday another friend that are you concerned of increasing of artificial intelligence, and the friend answered, no, not at all. I'm concerned about decrease of real intelligence. And I think financing and intelligence really come into the play in the field of the bioeconomy. So I think we would like to start now with this keynote, and our speaker today will be Rafael Cayela, and he's a chief corporate chief economist and chief strategy and sustainability officer at Dow Corporation. Rafael is well established both in chemical industry and in policy making, in bioeconomy and energy sectors. At current, he is a board member of World Energy Council, chairman at International Energy Charter, strategy officers community member at the World Economic Forum, advisory board member at the World BioEconomy Forum, member at the G20 BioFuture platform, member at the Renewable Carbon Initiative, and also EU high-level policy advisor for the industry net zero and climate change. And I think the list goes on, but this is the main one. And with this, I would invite Rafael to give the keynote speech, which is now online. So,
good morning, everybody, and thank you very much for the invitation for this very important event in Washington, D.C. I wish I could be with all of you physically. Certainly you are in my heart and in my thoughts, but I wanted to be with you with some thoughts about the role of the bioeconomy under the fourth industrial revolution, how do we see that as the next growth frontier, and the role of circular bioeconomy, and of course the role of the financial side onto this discussion. So for that, let me start acknowledging something that we all know and we are all realizing, that is basically we are kind of living historical times. In the middle of very deep and long recession, or at least high level of uncertainty, and the beginning of the climate and the biodiversity collapse concerns, also in the middle of the beginning of the fourth industrial revolution, certainly we might feel ourselves overwhelmed. And most of you probably has been just coming from COP28 in the UAE. And when you look at all these things, certainly you see a lot of things need to change and accelerate, but I think there is one fifth wave that I took that from internet that I like it very much in terms of the challenges and opportunities we have for the next century. Is actually one that I think is missing. There is one fifth wave that is basically a wave of innovation and innovation and growth. And this is why, despite of all the challenges, this is very exciting to be on this time on this panel and to open this discussion about how are we going to finance this transition and accelerate the transition. So with all that in mind, I think let me start as an economist, how do we see this transition also from now? If you look at in 1970, this is a simple way, correct, to look at what has happened to us over the last 40 years. So basically, we went for 3.5 billion people, 15 trillion economy, 15 gigatons in 1970, and using the resources of one planet. 40 years later, with quadrupled economy, with double the population, with double the emissions, and we use, instead of 1 unit of carbon and one planet, we use half to deliver double. So you can see here that it's actually a great improvement, but as we know, it is not sufficient, even worse. If we look at the future, correct, the economy might actually quadruple. This is part of my research for my first book already in 2013, so this data can be not obsolete a little bit, but if the direction is similar, it's basically the economy is still quadruple. We are going to use the resources of 3 or 4 planets, and when you look at CO2 emissions, yes, we will continue decoupling CO2 from the amount of economic growth, but it's still not sufficient, because as you know, what we need to do is to basically move the planetary resources from 3 planets to 1, and moving the amount of emissions from 65 gigatons projected in the future to 15 gigatons at the 2 degrees Celsius, or eventually 1.5 degrees Celsius, that is actually net zero. So, of course, this has been, again, coming from some of you from COP, this has been a formidable technological challenge, a political challenge, an economical challenge, but it's something more. This is basically a huge obligation to moral, it's a huge moral obligation to future generations, but also a huge business opportunity. Why? Because the companies, the industries, the sectors, and the nations that made this transformation will be the winners of the future. And if you don't believe me, I calculated very simplistically the delta between the amount of emissions under the Paris Agreement, 2 degrees Celsius, and the amount of emissions that we are expected to have. And at that time, 2013, if you get the price of CO2 in Europe, $30, basically you get that this opportunity was 150 trillion to 500 trillion. So 3, 4, 5 times the current GDP. And when you look at now what has happened over the last years, we see you look at the amount of growth that we see in renewables, protein substitution, electrical vehicles, I could even argue biomaterials, circular materials, those things are not growing at GDP. These things are growing at 2, 3, 4, 500, 200 times GDP. So this transformation is about growth. This transformation is about innovation, and is actually the financing this transition. Why? And this is then very important, because as we decarbonize, defossilize, and circularize materials, we will actually do the same thing for different value chains. And this is why this is a huge business opportunity, correct, for us to transform. But let's remember that chemistry and molecules and bioeconomy is going to be behind moving humanity from red code to green code. And this is why, when we look at that, in my simple statement, I think molecules are back into fashion. It's not about to having enough to have green electrons and green hydrogen and green renewables. It's very important to have green, net zero, fully circular molecules, scope 1, 2, and 3. And if you think what it means, it's basically the circular bioeconomy revolution is on. Very important to build up the right regulatory frameworks and the right financial side. If I look at, for instance, on the plastic side, and I know this is only a keynote, happy to have more discussions offline or later on with all of you. If I look at, for instance, the Green Deal is yet indeed a very cumbersome regulatory framework, probably the biggest ever created. It's around 50,000 pages, 25 million words, so it's very complex. It's still not final, but it's a great framework, because start looking into the supply side, the demand side, and the financial side. That is the purpose of today's call. And what you can see here is that, yes, there are incentives on the supply side. Sometimes in the case of the plastics industry, decarbonization cap our cost. But if you look at into defossilization and circularity, there are already incentives both in the demand side and the financial side. And indeed, it's not perfect. It's not expected to be perfect. We need to make it perfect. And this is why I think these forums are very important, to build up the right regulatory frameworks on top of the right technologies and the right understanding and the right focus. But as I said that in Europe, if I look at the US, to tackle in the coming decades, it's very important that we do three things over this: the humans with humans. And what I mean by rebalance humans with living digital technology world, I think what we are going to do is very exciting.
Thank you, Rafael. I will phone and ask them then to come to the podium. We have Ellison Wright, Senior Environment Finance Initiatives. He leads the Wildlife Conservation Bond operation in South Africa and various efforts to mobilize finance at scale for nature and climate action. He's done an MBA and Master of Science and Finance degree from the University of Maryland, where he also completed. Next, Inter-America Development Bank. Welcome, Camila. Camila has over 15 years of experience of the finance sector in he is a founding partner for Banca de Inversión Sustainable, the first Chile called studies on diplomacy and global competitiveness leadership at Georgetown University. Welcome, Camila. National Finance Corporation. In his role, he currently oversees, monitors, and supervises IFC's global products value chain. IFC, a member of the World Bank Group, is the largest global. It provides financing, long-term and equity and advisory services to private sector projects that contribute to poverty reduction, job creation, economic development. The IFC delivered as much as 43.7 billion in total in the pulp and paper industry, more than 30 degree in pulp and paper technology from Helsinki University of Technology. Welcome, Sami. To deliver bold new strategies and partnerships to conserve the world's most biodiverse region. Her career includes the launch of the first global practice for environment and natural resources at the World Bank Group and did the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals concept during her time with the Colombian government, for which she has received several related. It was about right. Welcome, Paula. And now I think we move into the panel, introduce all of you, and I think we could go around again, like have like a 5 minutes, 4 to 5, and recent developments, what you have done to the development of the bioeconomy. Ellison, if you could start with you, please.
Thank you very much. To do in this space is really promote more of these knowledge exchanges, data and analysis, support with technical credits and other financing to support their development. We also, and again, invest and share prosperity. We just have a component, and it should be half climate adaptation, half climate mitigation, okay? So one way to get there is through biodiversity investments and supporting bioeconomy. So you can't get more of a impetus to pay for results, as well as development policy lending, which is budget support to governments. Congratulations to all of you for organizing these wonderful sessions here. And in the 6th year, not performing very well with investments, right? Question around nature-based conservation and tourism and local benefits, right? Jobs created on the ground. And that's really what the bank is focused on. The World Bank is, supporting livelihoods, jobs, and, prosperity on the ground with the bioeconomy there. Anderson, he developed this concept for a sustainability-linked bond with the Rwandan government in Africa, where, they're supporting ESG efforts and greenhouse gas efforts as well. So that is one innovation. And recently, the government of Uruguay did a development policy operation where they mobilized the World Bank's global targets. So these are different ways that we're trying to do some new instruments and mobilize the bank's treasury capabilities and the balance sheet. But,
Camilla, if you move ahead with your area, please.
But we also would like to expand a little bit on the institutional arrangements that facilitate supporting, for example, this strategy that Brazil bioeconomy. So it's yes tech-based and it's yes research-based, but and this basically aligns to what MDBs have now in Dubai of nature-positive finance tracking system. So what we have been designing and supporting the Amazonian countries, as in an example, working with the ministries of finance and the national development banks of the Letician Pact or the Amazonian countries to bring this collective effort, if understood, basically, and until we have the instruments that enables capital to flow, capital being captured by fossil and extractive industries. 10 trillion annual in business. And to understand this is to debt for nature exchanges, like we did in Galapagos recently, savings over $900 million. Of 400 millions pouring in. We are supporting the government's created incentives that cleared the land and how this will actually create a virtuous
It was 1980s in Kaukas. Pulp and paper, sawmill, plywood mill integrate. That time I started my career. International Financing Corporation is the private sector arm for World Bank Group, fostering economic emerging markets. Our job is also to make money. Working with global prosperity on livable planet. 2, processing, as well innovation in the use of wood residuals and so on. Creating we expect to more than 10 billion in the coming years. Climate change and biodiversity loss and building resilient, inclusive economies. They underpin biodiversity value.